Peggle. Hello and welcome to another episode of Ferret64 with me, your host, Yemmy the Ferret. Ferret64 is of course the one-stop shop for video game news, occurrences, first impressions, and so much more. And we have a nice, healthy episode for you. Once again, we got the state of play from this week. I've been playing a couple of games. One new game that I will get into in a little bit, but we also got some news mixed in there as well, so lots of nice stuff here for us to talk about today. And let's just jump right in with what was announced at that game showcase. Alright, just as a reminder, if you want to watch this on YouTube, there is a video version of the podcast where you can see me, there's some graphics, it's the basics, but it's there if you want to. I also appreciate anyone who listens on Spotify or other places as well, very much. So, the State of Play, which was on Wednesday this past week, what day was that? The 13th? The 12th. The 12th. A good day that it was. The State of Play happened. It was about 40 or so minutes of stuff, and let's go over everything that was shown off, huh? I don't know if all this is in order, so, forgive me, but I try my best to get things in order when I can. First up was Monster Hunter Wilds. There was a trailer for this game. The trailer was good. Can't say anything else other than, looked good. Monster Hunter is doing what Monster Hunter does. Giant monsters and wild swords and equipment to use. As I've said before, people who are Monster Hunter fans will probably be very happy with this game. Me personally, I tried playing Monster Hunter Worlds before. I wasn't really into it, and maybe I just played it at the wrong time in my gaming career. I don't know. I don't think that I will be spending the money on this game. Maybe once it's on sale, I'll pick it up. But I'm just not interested in spending, $70 on a game that I might like, as opposed to a game that I know I will like other ones that we'll talk about. So, look, the trailer looked good. It was epic. Lots of big battles. Plenty of different hunters that were doing their thing. And this wild world does look pretty good. They also reveal that there will be a title update in spring of 2025. It'll be a free update. It'll add a new, creature of the hunt called a Mitsusune. It looks like it's a bubble monster. There will also be additional updates later in spring with a new event, and also an additional monster in summer as well. The game does come out February 28th. If you want to buy that, you get a pre-order bonus by doing that if you want that. You can also play the open beta test, which will give you a new stuffed felony teddy pendant and a bonus pack for the game. If you pre-order, you get the Layered Armor Guild Knight set with a Hope Charm Talisman. Also, the digital mini book art book will be available if you pre-order from the PlayStation Store. There's also, of course, the deluxe pack, which comes with a samurai-ish armor for like an armor pack. It's got some devil horns in there, an eye patch. Looks like some armor for your little cat. There's also decorations for your animal, some unique gestures and face markings of unique pendant, sticker sets, also ears, elvish ears for your character, as well as 2 unique hairstyles. Oh, man. It looks like the deluxe edition has some stuff in there you might want if you're a super fan of the game. It's kind of weird that they're blocking out some content for that stuff, but what do you know? Oh boy, if you played Monster Hunter World, you get a armor set called the Feline Leather Weapon. You also get a weapon for it, the Feline Acorn Spade. And then if you played Monster Hunter Iceborne, you'll get a Feline Duffel outfit and the Feline Trekker Pickaxe if you played those 2 games, which is nice. I do like when there's a new entry in a series and they kind of give you something towards that for getting those or playing those. Up next, Metal Eden. A lot of people were kind of conflicted on what this game reminded them of. Some people said Titanfall, other people said Borderlands. I'm more so going for like Ghost Runner with guns. That's kind of what it looks like to me. It seems like it's a one-hit kill scenario or maybe like a couple-hit kill scenario. And you're fighting these enemies who seem to be in like hallways or something like that. So there's also parkour, grind rails, and stuff like that too. So it does definitely remind me of Ghost Runner with guns for the most part, but yeah, you know, it's probably more so in line with a boomer shooter, honestly, but it does seem to have some of those hardcore elements of the Ghost Runner series. But yeah, Metal Eden, you can wishlist it now. It'll be available May 6th. It looks pretty good. I mean, it's got some nice sci-fi aesthetics and graphics in there. When it first started out, it kind of reminded me. I was thinking of Marathon because the trailer for that game also had your character like regrowing from like strands, and one of the things in here was the character regrowing after probably dying. So I'm guessing there's like a roguelite element to it as well if you are respawning and respecking, as I believe that they are showing in the trailer. But I guess we won't really know until there's more information about it. But as of right now, looks like a bit of a boomer shooter, maybe some roguelite elements in there, and it seems like it's going to be pretty hardcore sci-fi first-person shooter. And they also revealed Five Nights at Freddy's Secret of the Mimic. And this doesn't look bad at all. I'm hoping that it's less glitchy than Security Breach, because that was a glitch fest. And also this does seem like they're going back to a more horror aesthetic with this one. If you remember from my time talking about Security Breach, it just felt too jovial, too lighthearted. Like the pizza complex was so bright and colorful, and it just didn't feel like a horror game. And Secret of the Mimic seems to go back to... It does have that... I think it's going to have that same formula of Security Breach, where you're in like an open area and trying to do various things. But it's a much more dark and dreary setting, much like the original game. So we'll see what this all entails. This is coming June 13th. Secret of the Mimic, a Five Nights at Freddy's game. I almost wonder if they should like drop the Five Nights at Freddy's like naming convention, because I mean, it's not like you're staying there 5 nights anymore, I don't think. I mean, in Security Breach, it was also like just until dawn, you know, so I don't know. It's a bit strange. I mean, it's brand recognition, I guess, so it makes sense in that aspect. Like if they're just using Five Nights at Freddy's now as like a just general brand for the series, because these games are becoming less and less like the original FNAF games and more their own thing, which I don't mind at all. It's just a little bit weird to put the Five Nights at Freddy's still on there, but I digress. Dave the Diver will be crossing over with Like a Dragon. Ichiban's holiday DLC was announced. So Ichiban from Like a Dragon will be showing up at the bar and possibly causing some mayhem. He travels with you underwater as you try and fight the terrorists from the game. And there's also a side-scrolling beat-em-up section as well. And with the pixel art aesthetics, it's very cute, looks very nice. This is coming in April of 2025. Onimusha 2, Samurai's Destiny also had a small trailer here. The game is looking pretty good. If you know what Onimusha is, it's like a third-person hack and slash type game, sword gameplay. You get like special abilities and such to fight off these various demons. It seems like this remaster has kept the core of the game intact, so you know they didn't change like the camera angles, and they didn't change like how the characters look and stuff like that. So if you're a fan of the original Onimusha game, Onimusha 2, I think you'll be right at home with this game. So this will be available on May 23rd. You can pre-order it now if you so desire. If you do pre-order the game, you will get the orchestral album as a perk. And also, if you have the game Onimusha Warlords, you will get the Jubai Samosuke outfit for free as well. Pretty nice. Split Fiction showed up, and this was a pretty decent trailer. I was a little bit worried while watching it, like, okay, is it going to be as creative or as crazy at times as It Takes Two? I think it will be, especially because there was one part where they were riding like a wooden creature. There was also a dragon in there as well, of course. There was like a centipede thing as well, section where like both of them had to be a certain length from each other, kind of like fogs. I think that it will have a good amount of variety in there, much like It Takes Two did. I was just a bit concerned because it's like with It Takes Two, you can like go completely off the rails with that game because it's just so out there with its concept, right? Split fiction, even though it is, we're diving into the minds of these two writers and they're writing like one is a medieval writer and the other, or a fantasy writer, and the other one is a sci-fi writer. I don't know how crazy they can get with those concepts. Obviously, they can get very crazy, but I don't know how crazy they will get with this concept. But we'll see. I don't want to poo-poo it before it comes out. This is coming out March 6th, if you want to check that out. And much like any other game from Hazelight, if you own one copy, you can have anyone come and play it with you as long as you have them as a friend. So that is a nice thing for them to do, to continue doing. Next up was Sonic Racing Cross Worlds. So this was a very interesting trailer. It looks good. Let's start off with that. It looks good. I like the idea of this racing game because it seems like at times when you're riding around a track, there are these two like portal rings like from the Sonic movie that you can go into, and I wonder if it's a random which one will come down. I don't know, but it transports you to another area, and your car will transform with it. So if you if you go through the ring and it's like a water one, you can turn into a boat. There's also like upgrades you can get for your vehicle along the way, so it's almost got like that. I don't know, kind of like a upgrade system built into each race. I'm pretty sure they take them away every time that you exit the race, but it seems like this is going to be a really cool concept. And once again, it's a Sonic game launching very close to a Mario game because Mario Kart was recently unveiled, well, kind of teased, I guess you could say. And it's like, okay, so this Sonic game is going to be coming out. When was it? It didn't say exactly what day it was going to be coming out, but there is a closed network test on the 21st of February if you want to check that out. But I feel like the game is going to come out right before like the maybe the state of not the state of play, the Nintendo Direct showing off the new Switch and what the next Mario Kart's going to be. So I just feel like they're launching this game into another Mario game, much like they did with what was it? Sonic Frontiers was also one that launched almost alongside a Mario game. Last year, wasn't there a Sonic game last year that launched like almost side by side with a Mario game as well? I don't know why they do it because Sonic is obviously not as popular as Mario in terms of video game franchises. But anyway, they also showed that they were bringing back hoverboards like Sonic Riders, and the Hawk guy from Sonic Riders was in the trailer as well. So bringing some love for every corner of the Sonic universe, and also I believe that they are also going to be bringing in some characters from other Sega franchises. So we'll see what else they decide to do in the future. WWE 2K25. They did a trailer for this one. It's adding a social sandbox mode. Much like most sports games now, there's like this hub area that you can go around and meet people and design your own characters and stuff like that. It sort of reminded me of the Street Fighter 6 hub area where you kind of just have other people on the map milling about, and I'm guessing you can challenge them to a wrestling match as well in this area. I mean, the game, in terms of like a WWE wrestling game, it looks good for what it's worth. I don't think that people who are WWE fans will be disappointed with this one. They've obviously learned their lesson since the, 21? I think that was the one that like really broke the camel's back there. Yeah, I mean, there's a couple different editions of the game too. So as usual, there's a couple different versions of the game. Get different things with that. I'm not like super interested in this. I will say at least the trailer looked good, so it didn't look bad by any means. And I believe it's coming out on the 14th of March if you want to check that out. WWE 2K25. Another game coming from the Until Dawn and the Quarry developer is bringing out a new game. And this one they are going sci-fi with it. And the trailer was pretty good for this one, I will say. It was pretty good. I liked what I saw, but I think that it's leaning a bit too heavily into a the thing category, because essentially what they showed was there was some sort of life form that gets onto the ship and it starts mimicking people, and of course, you gotta like burn them out. I guess I don't know, was there any fire in this? I'm not sure. But yeah, it had like the thing, and also like a bit of like dead space in there as well, because there was like growths all over the place, and there was like a tentacle monster thing as well. So I feel like it's kind of like both of those things at the same time. But this game is going to be called Directive 8020, and I mean, look, it looks good. I can't say that it looks bad. It piqued my interest, and the game is supposed to come out in October 2nd. So if you want to check out that trailer, I think it's a pretty good trailer. Kind of sets everything up pretty well. They might have given a little bit too much away, but I think they had to show off a bit more than normal, because it's got two different concepts working in it right now. So there we go. The Midnight Walk got another trailer here. I believe this was shown off at the last State of Play, but it didn't really show anything. I thought, like, when I originally talked about this game, I thought it looked more substance over anything else, or I'm sorry, style over substance. And now they showed off this other trailer, it does look like they definitely have more going on here than just the stylistic choice of the game. So it's all stop motion, essentially. It has a very Tim Burton style to it. Also, that game that came out a couple years ago, Lost in Random, it has that kind of style to it as well. Apparently, this game is going to be available to play in PSVR 2, which is pretty cool as well. The monster design in the game is outstanding. I think that's going to be a very strong point in this experience. There also seems to be some eye tracking functionality to it with the VR, like an enemy that will only move when your eyes are closed. Could be kind of cool as well. And then, of course, they have to counteract that in the regular version of the game by probably having you blink every so often. But yeah, this is the Midnight Walk. This is coming on May 8th, and I think that'll be a pretty cool game. What's the gameplay, you might be asking? It looks like it's a first-person stealth horror game. You have like a fire gun to light things on fire, of course. And I'm not sure what else they're going to put into the game, but it seems like that's the core concept, is using this like fire launcher, grenade launcher, whatever you want to call it, and working your way through the levels with this little fire guy, this little bowl fire guy. Yeah, and if you pre-order it on PlayStation Store, you can get a 10% discount. I'll probably be getting this one physically, but there you go. All right. Stellar Blade is crossing with Nikki, Goddess of Victory. I've never heard of Nikki, Goddess of Victory, but they are crossing over with that. If you wanted more revealing clothing for Stellar Blade's main character, Eve, here you go. There's a skin-tight pink like tracksuit. There's also another one that is like a white short dress with stockings. There's also another outfit that is very much like just wraps, I guess you could say. But that update is coming in June of 2025, and it seems like they may also be adding a new boss to the game as well. And then they also revealed that the game is coming to PC with some additional content in June as well. So that's actually pretty nice. I'm sure the modding community will go crazy with this one, as they usually do. Also, Warriors Abyss is a new Dynasty Warriors game. I know that they already had a Dynasty Warriors game this year. This is a true spin-off here, because it's a roguelike game. This was also a shadow drop as well, so it came out the same day that the State of Play was, which is a pretty cool thing there as well. Apparently the game is going to be coming to Switch in the future, but right now it has an exclusivity deal with PlayStation. I did not get around to playing this game because I just have a lot on my plate right now, but it's like $25. It's a roguelite. Kind of reminds you of any other roguelite that you may have played since Hades has come out. But it's got that Warriors charm to it, because there's just a bunch of enemies that you can just fodder through, right? And then there's usually there's like a big bad, it looks like, in the game as well, that you take down. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it'll be pretty cool. I do want to play it eventually this year, but yeah. If you buy it right now with the Hack and Slash edition, you get 57 extra costumes, 3,000 extra Karma Embers, and the base game. Who could have guessed that one? But yeah, it's not your usual Warriors affair, but it does have some of the Warriors stuff that you come to expect from it, like various characters and, of course, a horde of enemies to defeat. So you want to check that out? That'll be available now. It's available now. Lies of P, Overture. This is the DLC coming to the game, or the first DLC coming to the game. Essentially, the world starts. A snowstorm happens. It's winter, and a new area unlocks for Pinocchio to travel around in, featuring new creatures, new areas, new bosses, and new weapons like the claws to use as well. Looks pretty good. I was listening to a podcast talking about the state of play very loosely. They weren't like going into it a lot. And the guy was like, oh yeah, this new Lies of P Over Torture. This is a sequel to Lies of P. And I was like, no, it's a DLC. So I don't understand how some people get things so wrong, especially when they have such a big platform. I'm telling you right now, with a small group of people who listen to this podcast and watch this podcast, this is a DLC called Overture. And it's not a sequel, it's a DLC. But this DLC will be available in summer of 2025. In a blurb, in a press release, a blurb, they said, on the brink of the Puppet Frenzy massacre, you follow the legendary Stalker, a mysterious guide through untold stories and chilling secrets. As Geppetto's deadly puppet, you'll journey through Krat and its surroundings, uncover hidden backstories, and face epic battles that shape the past and the future of Lies of P. That seemed like just a general blurb for the game. I'm not sure why. I don't know. Anyway, there we go. That's coming in summer 2025. Hell is Us. This is a brutal exploration game coming to the PS5 in September. This was more of a story trailer for the game, just kind of going over some cinematics and stuff like that, showing you like what happened to the world essentially. This is that game that they showed off during the last state of play that had like these white creatures with this like void face. And essentially, you play as this guy who walks around and I don't know, does his thing. You know, he kills enemies. This is gonna release on September 4th, 2025. The graphics look good. I'm sure the story is gonna be good. I want to see more gameplay. It seems like it's gonna be like a third-person, over-the-shoulder type game, but I suppose we'll see. Also, a new game coming from Pixel Junk is called Dreams of Another. This is a very bizarre one. It has a very pixelized art style, but it's a third-person shooter where the more you shoot the environment, the more clear things come or become. And this is a crazy, weird, off-the-wall type concept. Not usually what's under Pixel Junk's repertoire, but they have been doing some pretty off-the-wall things recently. Not even sure where to start by describing what I think this game is going to be. It's definitely a third-person like story action game, but yeah, this is coming in 2025 as well. It definitely piqued my interest. There will be PSVR 2 support to it as well, but yeah, there you go. Dreams of Another. A new game coming from the ex-producer of Grand Theft Auto is coming out. This is going to be called Mind's Eye. This is a sci-fi adventure, third-person shooter adventure, where you go around a city in a sci-fi setting, but not like too distant future. It's still got some things you would recognize, like vehicles that look kind of normal, but you know, people have like augments on their bodies, but not like it's not like Cyberpunk where everyone has them. It's like maybe a select few, or you know, only people who can afford it. It also seems like there's Neuralink stuff going on. There's also like robots, like Sentinels or whatever you want to call them. But yeah, it looks good. I do want to see more of the game though, but the graphics look good. The gameplay looks kind of you know, GTA. Obviously, if it's coming from the producer of GTA, it looks a bit GTA-ish when they're driving around and shooting, but that could work in its favor too. You never know. But yeah, Mind's Eye, the game is coming out in summer of 2025. If you want to check out the trailer, it's on YouTube right now. A platformer is coming called Darwin's Paradox. This game caught my eye immediately because the little octopus guy is pretty cute. But essentially, you play as an octopus and you platform or swim around in various environments. It's got a bit of like an Inside or a Limbo type feel to it because it's got like that side-scrolling aesthetic. It also puts you in some pretty crazy locations, like inside of a gearbox or whatever, or trying to hide from a light source, and you got to use your ink to hide yourself. Also, blending in with the environment because octopuses can obviously change their skin tone to match what they are doing. Yeah, I mean, it looks like it's going to be pretty cool. This is definitely high on my radar right now. And yeah, Darwin's Paradox. This is coming in 2025, coming from Konami of all developer or publishers. Kind of a, I don't know, kind of just off the wall kind of thing, but I like it. I'm in. I'm sold. Darwin's Paradox. Check that out. A new Digimon game is coming out called Digimon Storytime Stranger. If you don't recall, there was a Digimon game not too long ago, I think like 2 years ago, but it was more of like a visual novel than a Digimon game, and people were kind of upset about that. This game looks like it is more of a Digimon game where you actually battle with your Digimon. I don't really know anything about Digimon. I never got into Digimon. I'm sure there's a lot of people who are really into Digimon, but I'm just not one of those people. But yeah, essentially this is going to be a new Digimon game. I'm not sure what it's going to be like or what it's going to entail, but yeah, this is coming out in 2025, so I guess we'll wait for more information until then. A game called Shinobi Art of Vengeance has a very nice, like almost like a hand-drawn stencil art style. This is a 2D hack and slash adventure where you play as a shinobi who has these various weapons and equipment to help them traverse and take down enemies, traverse the environment, take down enemies. There's claws, there's like a grapple kunai or whatever you want to call it. There's like a parachute, there's a dash move, all the stuff that you expect from a 2D side-scrolling game. I don't know if it's going to be a Metroidvania, but it seems to be more of like a straightforward 2D action game. This is coming from the same people who made Streets of Rage 4, so they have a pretty good game under their belt to kind of give you more confidence in what this game is going to be or if it's going to be good or not. But yeah, it kind of reminded me of The Messenger, which is a pixel art game that came from Devolver Digital pretty long ago at this point. Kind of reminded me of that a little bit. This is coming August 29th. If you want to check that out, there are some pre-order bonuses and a digital deluxe edition. Pre-order bonuses include 10% off if you purchase early, 3-day early access, Fortune Hunter Amulet, and an original arcade outfit. If you get the digital deluxe version, you get the Ghost outfit, Medic Light Amulet, Sega Villain Stage downloadable content, in-game currency upgrade, I read that wrong. In-game upgrade currency, and the digital art book and soundtrack for the game as well. So if you want to check that out, that'll be available to pre-order right now. A game called Abiotic Factor is coming to consoles, and it was revealed at the State of Play. Not sure exactly what this is. It seems to be like a crafting survival game, but it's like a sci-fi setting where there's like monsters who are trying to take you down. This 1.0 version of the game will be coming in summer 2025, and it will be a day one PlayStation Plus extra game. This is a first-person co-op survival game for up to 6 players. Manage your hunger, health, and other aspects as you explore an underground science facility full of danger. The game will also be coming to Xbox and PC, and there will be cross-play for all the platforms as well. Another game called Mysterious Puzzle Adventure Blue Prince was announced. They didn't really show much off about this game. It has like a cel-shaded style. Obviously, this is like a puzzle game as well. It seems like each room... It's hard to describe. It seems like each room is like on a grid, and you get like random rooms, and you solve the problem in each room in advance. Almost like a saw trap, I guess. And you can choose kind of which way you're going, if you want to go to the nursery or to the armory or to the entrance hall or whatever. So might be a cool idea. This is coming in spring of 2025. It's a first-person mysterious puzzle game. There are 45 rooms in the manor, as well as a 46th room, which is probably the final thing. This will be full of brain teasers and various puzzles. It'll be available to PlayStation Plus members straight away, and it's before it's released in spring, so that's kind of cool too. Tides of Annihilation. This is a new PS5 game coming out sometime in 2025. Or at least I think they said 2025, right? Maybe. I guess they didn't say. But this is coming from the same studio as. I meant no. No, this is. Oh, I'm sorry. This is coming from the Chinese developer Eclipse Glow Games, and this is a part of the. There's a program to help bring Chinese indie games over to the West and stuff like that. So it's a part of that program. This game it seems to be kind of like a Souls-ish adventure, but it also has like that Final Fantasy type like setting, I guess you could say, almost. Maybe a bit of DMC in there as well. It's hard to really say with the limited amount of gameplay we have for this one, but I think that it looks pretty good. If it is a Souls game, it looks like a great Souls game. If it's not a Souls game, it's just like a maybe inspired by Final Fantasy or something like that. I'm sure it could also be good as well. You can wishlist the game now. It's coming to pretty much every platform: PlayStation, Epic Store, Steam, and Xbox. We'll see if a Switch 2 version comes around eventually. I don't know, but yeah, could be a pretty cool game. Check out the trailer for that. Another game that kind of reminded me of Final Fantasy was called Lost Soul Aside. This is coming from a solo developer, and it looks very, very impressive. The graphics are on the same level as like a Final Fantasy game, and it looks like it's going to be a pretty interesting affair. You play as like this emo guy. He kind of looks like your average Final Fantasy protagonist. In all honesty, and I hate to belittle the game like that by being like, "Oh, it's just Final Fantasy again," because it's a pretty big endeavor for a solo team, and it does look very, very good. It does look impressive. There's lots of flashiness to the game, and I'm sure that the combat is going to be pretty good too. Looks like there's going to be a fair amount of boss fights mixed in there too. So, Lost Soul Aside is the name of the game, and that is coming on May 30th to PlayStation and PC if you want to check that out. Pre-orders will go live on the 19th of February. It's going to be about $60. And it launches on the same day as Elden Ring Nightreign, so RIP Elden Ring Nightreign, am I right? Borderlands 4 had a appearance here. They didn't really show too much, but they had the big boys there to talk about the game a little bit, maybe make a few jokes here and there. I mean, the game looks like Borderlands 3 and Tiny Tina's whatever Wonderland was the last one. I mean, it looks the same as the other Borderlands game, which is probably a good thing because the gunplay from Borderlands 3 was fairly good, and the upgrade stuff for your character was pretty good. I do hope that they improve the boss fights, and I hope that the story does not make me angry this time around. A lot of people, including myself, were kind of bummed by the story because they killed off so many characters, so many longtime characters in that game. But yeah, Borderlands 4, I mean, it looks okay. It's coming September 23rd. If you want to check that out, there will also be like a Borderlands 4 showcase sometime in the future to show off more about the game, the Vault Hunters, and what you can expect from the game itself. So if you want to check that out, I mean, look, it looks like Borderlands 3 in terms of visuals, and the gameplay doesn't look too different from what you expect. And as a Borderlands fan myself, who've been a Borderlands fan since the first game, I have a tattoo of the Vault symbol on me. I'm at least gonna give it a chance, and I'm probably gonna give it day one no matter what, but probably not gonna get the deluxe edition again or the collector's edition. I got the collector's edition because even though I put Borderlands 3 on my top 10 list the year it came out, I do feel like something else could probably take its spot now, because after a couple of replays, and I did a video on the YouTube channel just kind of dissecting how terrible the bosses were in the game, I probably would either lower it or replace it with something else at this point. But it was still a fun game. Don't get me wrong; it's still a fun game, and Borderlands is full of imaginative things with their weapons and enemy designs. So I'll give it the benefit of the doubt. They had one stinker. Because I like pre-sequel. I think a lot of people also like pre-sequel. I like pre-sequel. I love 2. Really enjoy 1. I also enjoyed Tiny Tina's Wonderlands for what it's worth. I didn't finish it, but I did enjoy it. It was a little bit of a twist on the formula, and if they channel some of that old school Borderlands and stuff, I think they'll be okay. Metal Gear Solid Snake Eater. Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater had a release date trailer, which we already knew the release date from the leak last week, but it is officially coming out on the 28th of August. If you are a fan of Metal Gear Solid 3, I think you will be very happy with this because it looks like it's a 1-by-1 recreation of the game, just with a really, really good graphic style. They also revealed that the Ape Escape content is coming back. I'm going to hark on this other podcast, the other podcast I was listening to when this was fresh. They said that the ape they were like Bomberman, and they were wondering why they were teasing another Bomberman game in this. Well, one, it's an Ape Escape monkey, and two, it was a part of the original game. There was like this like you hunt down the apes and you collect them. So it is coming August 8th once again, and I believe pre-orders are available now at this point. And Sony's snafu of accidentally leaking this all beforehand is a big whoopsie. But hey, here you go. All right, so they showed off the premium games for PlayStation Plus that are coming in next month, right? So we have 3 Armored Core titles, including Armored Core 1, Armored Core Project Phantasma, and Armored Core Master of Arena. So all 3 of these games are going to be coming sometime in 2025. My apologies. Sometime in 2025. Also, they revealed that Patapon 3 will also be coming to the PlayStation Plus Classics catalog as well. They also showed off the various games that are be coming to PlayStation Plus Extra. That includes, for February, so you can wait, shouldn't these already be out? No, they're coming out the 18th. So, Star Wars Jedi Survivor, Top Spin 2K25, Lost Records Bloom and Rage, Part 1, I guess you could call it. Saga Frontier Remastered, Somerville, Tin Hearts, and Mordhau are all coming to PlayStation Plus Extra next week. Star Wars Jedi Survivor, great Star Wars game. Lost Records Bloom and Rage, the new game coming from Life is Strange, the developers of the original Life is Strange. Somerville was a decent... It was the 2 developers of Limbo split, and they each formed their own studios. This is from the other guy. I didn't think it was as strong as Limbo or Inside, but it was still good. Tin Hearts is like a Lemmings game. Mordhau is a first-person medieval fighting game like Chivalry. And then also, Patapon 3 is coming on the 18th as well, and also Dropship United Peace Force, which originally released on the PS2, is coming as well. So those are those. The Days Gone remaster is real, and it's coming out in April. I don't know who was asking for this. Obviously, this game does have some diehard fans. Don't get me wrong. Anytime I go to the comment section of like a Days Gone trailer, or even like on Twitter, you kind of go scrolling through and you see like a Days Gone thing. There's always a lot of people who support the game, and they say it's the best game ever made, best zombie game ever made. Personally, yeah, after my replay of the game, I am higher on it. I still think it's like an 8 out of 10. It's not perfect. I think there's things that they could improve with the game, of course. Being a PS5 version of the game, it's possible they'll be able to add even more zombies onto the map, or maybe they can tweak some things with their AI, the AI of the game. There are enhancements coming for the PS5 Pro as well, so you can place maybe some better lighting textures or better frame rate. It's hard to say. But yeah, this is coming in April. April 25th is when this is coming out. And the game will also be available on PC as well. If you already own a copy of Days Gone physically, you will be able to upgrade it to the if you own it physically or digitally, you'll be able to use the $10 to upgrade it to the remastered version of the game, much like Horizon Zero Dawn. If you got the game from PlayStation Plus back in the day, you will not be able to use that $10 upgrade for it. So, but if you had it physically, like myself and other people, you only have to pay $10 to play the remastered version. Once again, I don't think anyone really was asking for this. Like, I think that the original version of the game still looks good to this day. I think maybe a PS5 tweak would have been fine, but yeah, they're doing a whole remaster for it. It seems like much like the Wii U to the Switch, the PS4 is just dumping all of its exclusive games onto the PS5. Just think about it. We got Horizon Zero Dawn, which is a PS4 game. We got, of course, Days Gone is coming around here. Until Dawn got remastered recently, which was a PS4 game. There's so many games that were on the PS4 that are getting remastered and coming to the PS5. They're going to remaster everything on the PS4 except for Bloodborne. It just doesn't make any sense. I feel like there's more love in general for Bloodborne than Days Gone and probably even Horizon Zero Dawn remastered at this point. So it's a very strange thing that they seem to be just kind of forgetting about Bloodborne. I don't know if there's like some IP legal issues that they're dealing with, but they have a major stake in From Software's parent company. So I feel like there really shouldn't be any disconnect there. Also, if they remaster Bloodborne and put it on PC as well, I think that would make a lot of people happy. I don't know. It seems like money in the bag. They're wasting their resources remastering a game that not as many people want. Same thing with Horizon Zero Dawn as well. They pumped a bunch of resources into that, and I just feel like these are these two games, even Until Dawn remastered, like who's really buying those, right? Even though I bought the Until Dawn remaster, it's still like, I don't think they sold very well. So also, like, let's get some new IPs mixed in here. I know we'll talk about one later on, but we need some new IP in here. We need something to really freshen up the PS5 library, because so far it's a lot of IPs that we saw on the PS4 and a lot of games we saw on the PS4. Yeah, we'll see what happens. Some of the improvements to the game: graphic fidelity, increased foliage, draw distance, improved shadow and lighting quality, Tempest 3D audio, VRR support, and more. So if you want to check those things, check this out. The trailer's available now. If you like Days Gone, I'm not trying to hate on it at all. Like I said, I enjoyed it. I gave like an 8 out of 10, a 4 out of 5 on my most recent playthrough, which was a half point up from my original score. And I don't think I'll be buying the remastered version physically, but if I want to do the $10 upgrade, I could probably just do the $10 upgrade. So there you go. I'm sure copies of the original version of this game will probably start to skyrocket. Sales for that will probably skyrocket a bit, because you can buy the original game for like $20, the greatest hits version or whatever it's called, and you can just upgrade for $10. So it's like a $30 value. I'm sorry, it's like a $60 value for only $30, maybe even less if you get it on eBay. All right, the big reveal at the end of the showcase was a new game called Sorrows. This is coming from Housemarque, or House Marquee, however you say it. And it's definitely got Returnal vibes. This is like a spiritual successor to Returnal, in my opinion. They obviously changed things up. It's a different protagonist. It's a different world, I guess. They still have that roguelite quality to it. And also the balls, the enemy shoots balls at you, much like Returnal, but this time they're orange, not red or blue. It seems to be more like, I don't know if Eldritch is the right word, but it kind of reminded me of like Blasphemous in a way with the like, I guess it's a boss. He has like 6 arms or something like that, kind of like Buddha or whatever. They didn't show any gameplay off. It was just a cinematic trailer, or a teaser, if you want to, whatever. But yeah, this is the new game coming from House Marquee, and that'll be coming in 2026. So you got to wait a little bit longer for that. And once again, it does incorporate the come back stronger mentality. Once you play through the game, you die, you come back, you have to go through some things. So yeah, it's probably going to be decent. As a person who didn't really like Returnal, I might try it out. People were saying, or I guess there was a interview with the guy, and he's like, yeah, it'll be a little bit more player friendly. Returnal is definitely a bit of a hardcore game, of course. Not saying that it's impossible, but it's going to be a bit more niche for people who want that sort of challenge. I just wasn't really into the controls of Returnal. Like, I felt like the controls were kind of iffy in my opinion. And also, like, the platform is also not my favorite thing ever. But I digress. I'm excited to see what more they have to talk about for that. I'm sure that they will have a another state of play, or maybe even put out some more trailers for it in the near future, or maybe even the distant future at this point. But yeah, that is the state of play. I thought it was a decent showcase. I wasn't like super hyped for anything. I think Darwin's Paradox was the one thing that I kind of like got really excited for, because I was like, that's so cute. That looks great. Other than that, it was like a decent showcase. I'd probably give it like a B minus. I didn't think it was like super special. Like, they did show off a lot of stuff here. I was hoping for some more first party things, but we only got the Returnal successor and the Days Gone remaster, which is like one of those things is like not hype at all. Like the Days Gone remaster, I don't really care about that. And then also on top of that, having House Marquee doing another Returnal type game, that really didn't make me excited either. Like, I'm interested, sure. I'm always going to be interested in whatever Sony is going to be doing. But it's one of those things where it's like, it's not really exciting for me, but I'm sure that there's a lot of people out there who are very excited about this successor to Returnal. And I'm happy for you. I'm happy for you. Just wasn't my thing. I was hoping for that Bloodborne remaster, but obviously that's, just a hope at this point. It's a long lost hope. And then also, I was kind of expecting like a God of War remaster for the original trilogy. That was a pretty strong rumor going into this one, but we obviously didn't get that. And I wasn't expecting it by any means, but I was hopeful. I was like, oh, maybe they'll do it. Wrong. They didn't do it. Anyway, that's it for that. If you like the state of play, or if you have anything you want to say about the state of play, make sure you put it into the comments below, or on Spotify or whatever. Or in the Discord if you want to talk about it in the Discord. But I thought it was decent. Above average at least, but not my favorite thing ever. Let's go ahead and move on to what's in the news. I'm actually going to combine the coming soon and the news here, so forgot to mention that earlier. But there are 5 more Astrobot levels coming to the game. 5 new Astrobot levels coming to the game. There's a new galaxy for them as well. Each level is going to have 1 new character to find in them, so that's pretty fun. They are all seemingly going to be speedrun levels, which is, I'm not disappointed by that, but I really was hoping for some more like levels, like beefy levels, right? But this level was fine. I played the first one, the TikTok shock level already. I thought it was fine. Like, I enjoyed it. I don't think I'm gonna like go back through and try and get a really good time on it or anything, because I thought it was good, but not like good enough to like replay 50 million times. But like, it was better than most of the speedrun levels that they put out with the last group. So there's that. I also liked the location that they used. It was like this Arctic base or whatever in the middle of the ocean. I thought that was pretty cool. They also got like these new like pufferfish type enemies that blast towards you, and you gotta use the time ability to slow down time and get past things. At the end of the level, if you don't want to be spoiled, skip ahead like 30 seconds or 10 seconds or whatever, but you find Heihachi from the Tekken series, which is a pretty cool one, and his little special thing was pretty fun as well. Next up on February 20th will be Thrust or Burst, which sounds like you're going to be using the dog for that one again. On the 27th, we'll be able to play Cock-a-Doodle Doom, so I'm guessing you use the chicken rocket for that one. The 6th of March, Hard to Bear. I'm not sure which one you would use for that. And then March 13th, we'll be getting Armored Hardcore, which is probably the one where you roll up into a armored ball. So pretty cool there. I'm very excited to rescue some more bots in the game. Hopefully we finally see Sweet Tooth come around, because I feel like that should have been in the base game. I know that there's like some rumor that like, oh, the Twisted Metal developers didn't want to put him in the game so parents wouldn't have to explain to their kids what it was or who it was. But then again, it's like, why does that matter when you have various murderers, killers, demon hunters, and etc. in the base game anyway as these little Astrobots? What's one more murderer to put on there? I don't know. But yes, the new TikTok Shock level is available now. It's a pretty fun one. I was just going back and playing that one. It's also got a slew of new trophies added to the game as well. So to get back to the 100%, you got to play through these levels again, or all these levels. But there you go. Should be pretty cool. Also, Elden Ring Nightreign is going to be out sooner than you think. They did a announcement for the release date of the game, and pre-orders are available now. The game is going to be coming on the 30th of May, 2025. Also, the network test was going on this past weekend. It was a little rocky at the start. People are getting disconnected, and the servers actually had to be taken down for a while, but they eventually got them back up, and I do wonder if they're going to either extend the amount of time you can play it, or if they're going to have the network test back up live later on, just to kind of keep it going. But that's what these tests are for, though. Like, a lot of people are complaining, like, oh, the servers are down. What are they going to do when the game actually launches? They have time, one, to work on network issues, but two, that's what this test is for. They're putting a lot of players into the game. They're stress testing their servers, and they're seeing where the issues are. So I think that it's a good thing that they didn't just launch the game this week, and they actually are putting in the time to see how they can improve the network stability of the game. I've been watching a fair amount of gameplay from the various people who do Elden Ring content that I enjoy, like Bushy and Zero Lenny, and the game looks really good. Like, it's a bit different than what I was expecting, but it does look very, very good. And it's for 1 to 3 players. You can play with 2 if you put a password into the game to limit how many who can join your party. But I believe that that's recommended to have either 1 or 3, because the game will not scale if you only have 2. But yeah, so there's like default classes that you can choose from, and each class has set things that they can do. Like, the one class is like a tank class, and he has like a shield and a spear, and he has moves to help buff defenses and do slam attacks and stuff like that. There's another character who's all magic. They have magic abilities, and they can use various magic abilities. And if you combine 3 different magic abilities, you have like a special magic ability that happens in like a big burst. You can do like a big burst. There's other characters as well. Like there's a stealth character who can go invisible and stay invisible even if she's attacking players, or not players, but other enemies. And it also affects your teammates as well. The map seems to be kind of random. In this like network test, they didn't have much variety in which bosses you found or which areas you went to. But I'm guessing once the main game does launch, they are going to have different landscapes. Like, oh, you got the Kaled version of the map, or you got the underground version of the map, or whatever. Right? I feel like that'll happen. Just like any other Fortnite type game, a circle encloses on you as fire it's like a fire circle, and you take damage if you're in the fire, and it tries to like corral you to the final boss encounter, which can either be 1 to like 3 bosses at the same time. It kind of reminded me of those mods on Elden Ring that do like randomizers and also like doubles enemies and stuff like that. So it kind of reminds me of that it's almost like Elden Ring took inspiration from that and other mods as well to the game. But I mean, it looks good. It looks like it's going to be pretty fun, especially if you're playing with other people. And there is a pre-order, a collector's edition that's coming as well. It's going to include a Nightreign statue of Wilder, who is one of the characters you can choose. It's a 25-centimeter statue. There's going to be a steelbook, a digital soundtrack, the main game plus any DLC that will be coming out, 8 Nightreign cards, and a physical hardcover art book, which is pretty cool. Let's see, the game is going to be available for $40. There's also a deluxe edition for $55. That'll include a digital art book, a soundtrack, and additional DLC as well. So there you go. I don't know if this is going to be pushed back or anything like that, if they need to do more work on the servers, but it is coming relatively soon, only a couple months out. I am excited to try it out, play it with some friends, and see how it goes. As of right now, though, just excited for it, and I'm hoping that in the background they can get some of those problems sorted that they maybe found during this technical test. All right, the PSN outage last week lasted for almost an entire day. It obviously started to come back on like the end of the first, after like 24 hours, it started to come back. But Sony was pretty quiet about why it was down. They didn't really say anything to the public. They just said sorry for the outage. Network services have fully been restored. There was some sort of operational issue. So it's hard to say what exactly caused it to go down. Yeah, I guess everyone got 5 days of PlayStation Plus for free because of the outage too, which is pretty nice, I guess. But they like once again, I'm more so concerned about what exactly happened because if you're a longtime PlayStation user or if you had a PS3 back in the day, you know the horror of like that huge outage. It lasted months. It was such a damaging outage to PlayStation that they were sending out $100 off coupons for a PlayStation 3 Slim, which is how I got my first PlayStation. Not my first PlayStation, but the PlayStation Slim, the PlayStation 3 Slim. Um, that's how I actually got it. It was a $100 coupon, and I spent all my money that I usually would use for gas money. I spent it all on the PS3, and I prayed that I would not run out of gas before my next paycheck in 2 weeks. And I didn't. I survived. I just didn't drive anywhere for like 2 weeks. But yeah, I guess we'll really never know what happened. But I don't know if we really need to know. There's also this thing that people are saying, like, oh, if you have a disk drive installed on like your Slim or your Pro, you can't use it when there's a PlayStation outage. That's not true. You just couldn't install the update for the physical like the disc reader. So if you already had the disc reader installed on your console, it wouldn't matter. That does beg the question though, if once the PS5 is an older console, a classic console, a retro console, and the people buy a PS5 Slim or whatever, and they want to install a physical drive onto it, is it not going to work because you need to do that update to the PlayStation? Will they still have the servers live for, in 20, 25 years? Will the servers for PlayStation be alive and allow you to update the console to include the digital version? I'm sorry, to include the physical version of the console. It's hard to say. It's a bit scary to think about, but that's just where we are in gaming right now. The Halo TV series has come to Netflix, mostly in the UK, but also some other regions as well. People don't know if this is like a way to maybe stir up some interest for another season. I know they canceled the Halo TV show after like season 2. I do know that people said that season 2 was better than the first, but not like a huge improvement. But yeah, if you're a Netflix user and you live in one of the places that you can watch it, Halo will be available there. It used to be only available on Paramount Plus. But yeah, I mean, I guess if you want to check it out, go for it. I haven't heard anything really good about the Halo TV show. Like I said, the second season seemed to do a better job, but that first season, a lot of people complained about. I don't remember exactly why, but whatever. I can't say anymore. All right, a game that was exclusive to the PlayStation Vita is coming to Switch. It's getting a remaster. The game is called Mobile Suit Gundam Seed Battle Destiny Remastered. So yeah, this originally launched on the PlayStation Vita and now is coming to the Switch on May 22nd, 2025. I don't know if it's coming to any other platforms as well, but the little blurb says, Year 70 of the Cosmic Era, the war began with a bloody Valentine tragedy. The fated battle returns. Cosmic Era 71-73, the history of Mobile Suit Gundam Seed Battle Destiny returns, fully remastered. You can look forward to enhanced maps and graphics over 100 mobile suits, redesigned with high-resolution models and textures, redesigned UI menus, as well as a new lock-on mode and controller settings for smoother gameplay. This game originally came out in 2012 on the PlayStation Vita. It was a Japan exclusive. Bandai Namco confirmed the remaster will be available worldwide in English localization on the 22nd of May on Switch and PC. So if you want to check that out, that'll be available soon. There is a trailer on Bandai Namco's YouTube channel. Glover is coming to Switch finally. This is an old N64 game that got a remaster not too long ago, but it was not on Switch yet. So now the Glover port will be coming to Switch along with other consoles like PlayStation and PC. It's already available on those systems, but I don't know why it took them so much longer to put it on Switch. I don't know. But yeah, if you ever wanted to play as a sentient glove that rolls a ball around, here you go. I almost bought the physical version of Glover Remastered. I really wanted to, but it just wasn't in the budget. So maybe I'll buy it, on the later and on a later date. But the thing about those limited run releases is they always go up in price so much after they release, for the most part, which is annoying as fuck. But what are you gonna do? So yeah, it's gonna come to Switch on the 27th of February. It's gonna be $20 if you want to check that out. It's a pretty good port. I remember playing a little bit of it back in 2022 when it originally was remastered, and I think it'll be a good time. All right, here are some games that are leaving PlayStation Plus Extra and Premium tiers next week. They are The Outer Worlds Spacer's Choice Edition, Tales of Arise, Tales of Zestiria, Tales of Symphonia Remastered, Tales of Vesperia Definitive Edition, Outriders, Scarlet Nexus, and Bulletstorm Full Clip Edition. There's a couple games on here that I would definitely say maybe try out before they're gone. The Outer Worlds, Outriders, Scarlet Nexus, and Bulletstorm, all games that probably you might want to try out before they're gone. The Tales games I've never played, but I'm sure if you're like a JRPG fan, you might want to check those out. And here are 8 games leaving Xbox Game Pass in February. All these games will be leaving on February 28th, including Grease, Maneater, Paw Patrol World, no! Space Engineers, Warhammer 40k Bolt Gun, Wolong Fallen Dynasty, Yakuza 3 and 4 Remastered. So, I mean, all these games are pretty good. I didn't play Paw Patrol World, sorry. But all the other games are pretty good. Bolt Gun is like a first-person, Doom-inspired pixel art Warhammer game, boomer shooter. Grease, a pretty emotional, very good graphic style kind of journey. Maneater, very fun game. Play as a shark, eat things up. Wolong Fallen Dynasty, very good Souls-like game. Really enjoyed that one. It didn't make my top 10 years list the year they came out, but I really enjoyed my time with that. So, yeah, I would recommend checking out any of these games before they're gone, especially Paw Patrol World. That is probably going to be the biggest loss for the Xbox Game Pass. Okay, let's go ahead and move on to the final part of the show, which will be, what have I been playing this past week? All right, first thing to talk about is Civilization 7, Sid Meier's Civilization 7. As a Sid Meier's fan, I knew pretty much no matter what that I would be getting the game day one, and I did. I paid the $70, and I loaded it up, and I started playing it, and I was a bit disappointed. So disappointed that I decided to refund my purchase. I'll just buy it after all the updates and DLC are out, and we'll see where it's at. Civilization 7, it's not a bad game, but it definitely did some things that I'm not a huge fan of. One of the main things that it did, if you know the Civilization formula at this point, it's a turn-based strategy game. You build up your civilization as the name of the game implies, and you have inner workings to your city to help with production and earning money and farming food and creating science. There's also wonders of the world that you can create to boost things, and you build up your army and you can take over things, and there's there's city-states and barbarians and blah blah blah. Oh, Civilization 7 removed barbarians from the game, which I was very confused about. Barbarians play a big role in history. I mean, they took down the Byzantine Empire, the Roman Empire. I mean, Genghis Khan was like the dude for taking down the civilized world, I guess you could say. And barbarians just aren't a thing in the game. There's city-states still. There's a lot of city-states. And a lot of times they can be hostile. And they can act like the barbarians that you would have in the regular game. But the thing is, like, what if I just don't want to have a war with a city-state? Like, what if I just want to fight some barbarians, get my stats up? I guess the one thing that they tried to overcome is like the fact that like sometimes when you're in the modern era, you can still have barbarians on the map, and they just like use slingshots and stuff like that. But still, it's like who really cares? Who gives a shit? It's a fucking video game. So that was the first thing that kind of annoyed me, was there's no barbarians in the game anymore. The second thing that annoyed me even more was the fact that you work your way up through the first era, which is like the like the first age or whatever we want to call it. I forget what it's actually called. I haven't played the game in a week at this point. But you go through that whole first age. So there's different eras that you play through in like Civ 5. It was you started off in like the Stone Age or whatever. Then you went to like the Renaissance, and then you went to the modern era, and then you went to the future era, right? These eras, there's 3 different eras in the game, and each one is segmented. There's 3 different segments, and everyone moves to the next era together. So it's no longer like, oh, I moved to the next era before you, so I get a boost here. No, it's you get to that last like discovery or the last thing you researched for the tier, and then it just kind of like moves everyone with you over to the next age, which I found to be quite a dumb idea. It not only is it annoying that now I don't get the boost from really putting in all my work into science to get ahead of people, but also it just stops the gameplay, reloads the map, you change your civilization, and then you play the next age. It's bizarre. It's a bizarre fucking way of doing it. So when the game starts, you choose your leader, and then you choose your civilization. It doesn't matter if you choose Benjamin Franklin, you can choose the Roman Empire, or you can choose whatever, right? It's all that, which is also a pretty stupid thing in my opinion. No longer is George Washington associated with the United States of America. No. You can put Georgie Boy, if he was in the game, you can put Georgie Boy on the Egyptians or on the what. It's just so annoying, and the list of leaders is very strange. Not only are a lot of the leaders overpowered, like some of them are very overpowered, and other ones are like duds. But there's also 2 different versions of Napoleon. There's like Emperor Napoleon and General Napoleon. It's the same character, but he has different skills. And one of them is like a pre-order bonus. I just found that so bizarre that they would have 2 different versions of the same character in the game. And then the civilizations you can choose can also be combined with, like Benjamin Franklin you can choose a civilization that is also good with science, and you can boost your science production by 1,000,000-fold because it's broken. It's a broken system. Sure, does it help you, the player? Yes. Is it unfair as fuck to anyone else you're playing with? Yes. It is very unfair. Like putting Catherine the Great or whatever, putting her with like a high production civilization will just boost your production so far that you'll be building things in so quickly that no one else will be able to get a wonder. No one else will be able to build settlers as fast as you. No one else will be able to build an army as fast as you. It's just bizarre. It's bizarre how unbalanced this game is. And it really came to a head when I got to the next era and I was going up against an AI that was using one of those really strong combinations because their army was like training faster than mine with each battle. So you would see, like, I would attack them first and I would do a little bit of damage. They would attack me and do the same amount of damage. I would attack them again and do less damage. They would attack me, they would do way more damage. And it just became very frustrating. On my first playthrough of the age, I had lost the city because of that. And when the age transferred over, the city was just automatically razed. It was burned to the ground or whatever. It just didn't exist anymore. And that also pissed me off a lot. I was like, I worked so hard in that fucking city. Why is it just gone? Because the fucking other person took it over. Like, it doesn't make any sense. So I was so annoyed that I clicked out of the game, uninstalled it, and got a refund for it. I was just not into it. There are some things that Civilization 7 does that I liked that I would love to see in like Civ 6 or Civ 5, right? But it's stuck in this game that I really wasn't digging. So you can now have like ships travel up and down rivers, which I thought was a great idea. Natural disasters can happen, like tornadoes and floods and stuff like that. I thought that was a good idea. You have way more communication with other civilizations now. Like, you can now denounce. Not only can you denounce them and start a war with them, but you can also almost immediately start up a spy network. You can also immediately like have open border treaties and stuff like that. You don't have to research any of that stuff. So that's also a nice thing. There's also way more you can do. Like if they do steal some technology from you, like with a spy thing, you can denounce them publicly for that specifically, and it's less likely that people will be angry at you for starting a war with them when they figure that out because they've tweaked the AI settings for that as well. And I think that I did like the new way that they did like the you gradually grow your borders and it goes pretty fast, which is nice. The one thing that I didn't like about this was they removed workers altogether. So you just start to build something in your capital and you plant it in one of your hexagonal spaces. So if you want to build a granary, you have to put it in a plot of land. You can't just build it inside of your city or have workers go out and build like a farm or a wood cutting lumber mill or whatever. And unlike in Civ 5 and Civ 6, there are just no workers at all. It's scouts and settlers, and that's all you get at the beginning of the game. No workers, which is a bit weird to me. Once again, like the workers from Civ 5, I think was fine. They come onto the map, they start building something in a space, and they take like 5 turns and then they build it. Civ 6 did it a bit differently, where you sent the workers out, and they just were like there was like 3 uses of workers. So you would use one use of the worker to like halfway build something, and you would use them again the next turn to build something, or that you would have to use multiple sets of workers to build things. So it's one of those things where it's like I'm okay with the way that they did it in Civ 7, but I prefer the old way. And maybe that's just because Civ 5 was the first Civilization game I played, but that's kind of where I go back to. Like it worked really well in Civ 5. Why'd they change it so much? I don't know. The other thing that is also pretty bizarre is that they completely eliminated religion from not from the game, but religion literally does nothing anymore. Which is just kind of weird because there are so many civilizations, even like the United States now, or any other, think about like the United Arab countries or Russia or whatever. Religion plays a big part in, I think, every culture around the world. You cannot find a culture out there that does not have some form of religion, a majority of religion, doing stuff, whether it be politically or actively in the country. So removing religion from the game almost entirely, like it's still there, but it just does completely nothing for you. Like it gives you maybe a little boost, but that's it. It just doesn't make any sense to me because Civ 5 and Civ 6 at least did religion pretty well. Like Civ 5 was like the starting point of them putting the religion mechanic. That's not the starting point because it was in Civ 4 as well. But Civ 5 they added it in. It was a very robust thing. It was huge. And it played a part in the future DLCs for that game. And in Civ 7, it just isn't there. And it's possible that they'll add more stuff for religion in future updates or DLCs. It's hard to say, but as of this point, you literally choose your religion. You get a small boost from shrines or whatever, and then you move on. You forget that you even have a religion. So it's just bizarre. The other thing that they added to the game is I forget exactly what it's called, but the icon is like this little globe, and it's like your world presence or something like that. And you can spend points that you earn from creating pacts with other civilizations and stuff like that to get favor with city states and stuff like that. So I do like that system. That wasn't a bad system, but yeah, I just feel like the game just doesn't feel great right now. The UI is pretty abysmal in the game as well. It was over. I don't know. It just didn't mesh with me. I felt like the things that they removed from past games, bad idea. I feel like the new things they added in, some were good, some were bad. It's just I just when you spend so much money on a game, I'm not going to take that $70 hit on a game that I'm not enjoying. So yeah, that's why I got my refund before I hit the 2-hour mark, and I said, okay, I'll come back to this when it's on sale, or like the game has been heavily updated and people say like, yep, it's better now, because I'm not willing to waste that much money on this game right now. So I was excited for it. I remember watching gameplay on like Twitch and stuff, and I was like, wow, this looks pretty cool, looks pretty good. But in actuality, practicality, playing the game with your own 2 hands, it just didn't feel great. And that's the story of gaming, though. Like, you can watch someone play like a playthrough of, I don't know, Resident Evil 7 for hours on end. But until you get the controller in your hands, you've really not experienced the game fully, right? And that kind of is how I felt with Civilization 7, where I watched someone play for hours. I was like, wow, I'm watching this guy play, and they're doing all their stuff, and I'm like, oh, everything's looking pretty good. But when you actually sit down and play the game, it just wasn't what I wanted, and yeah, that's why I decided to get a refund for that. So it's unfortunate, but that's just the way it is, and we'll go from there. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens with the game after it updates or has some DLC drops for it. I've been playing more Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. I am past the point of frustration with the game, and I am starting to have a cozy time with it now. I booted up pretty much right after work, play for a couple hours before I stream. After I stream, I boot it up again. The story's moving pretty fast now. I've gotten through a lot of side missions. I've upgraded Henry a lot with more skills and stuff like that. I've been really diving into the various different odd jobs that you can do around the world, and also been doing the main story as well. And I think the game is really coming together quite well. Like, much like I said last week when I talked about it more in depth, it does take a little bit of like time to get to that point where you start feeling like your character is coming together. It obviously takes a lot less time than the original game, because in the original game you kind of you started with Henry as like a complete dumbass who didn't know how to do anything, like reading, blacksmithing, everything. You had to learn from scratch in that game. Whereas with this game, you do start off with the basic necessities. Like, you already know how to blacksmith. You already know how to sharpen tools. You already know how to read. You already know some of the basics of, some of the various things that you come across in the game. And you just need to relearn some things for combat and horse riding and archery and stuff like that. They also give you some new stuff. Like, there's an actual like gun in the game, a pistole or whatever it's called, a single fire like stick that has a fucking barrel on it. So there are things that you do learn. Like, there's new things that you learn. But all the old stuff that you learned from the last game, you do retain mostly. And of course, there's tutorials and everything for you. So if you do forget how to do something, you can look things up. Yeah, I think that like Kingdom Come 2, it definitely has an edge on the first game, simply because there's not as much slowdown of learning all these different things. Like the thing that they wanted you to do in the first game was to build your character, become a competent like part of the world, and work your way up through the class system and eventually do things. And the second game is more so about like continuing that growth of your character, but also being more active in what's going on in the world, right? Like, even though there's a lot of stuff that happens in the first game, don't get me wrong, but this game, it just feels like, because you already have this base knowledge and all that stuff, it just feels like it's running a bit more smoothly in terms of like story wise, narrative wise, and gameplay wise, which is really nice. I appreciate that. I'm still going strong on the game. I'm really, really enjoying my time with it. I think that it's probably going to be one of my favorite games this year. There's a lot of bangers coming out this year, or hopefully there's a lot of bangers coming out this year. But this is like one of the first games this year that I've really just much like Dynasty Warriors Origins, I just kind of want to play it every day and get some progress on it every day. And I'm just having a great time with it. I don't know what else to say. It's been such a complete and fun experience so far. And once again, there's a bit of a learning curve. There's going to be frustrations in the game, but I think you can come out with a positive experience after like the first like opening sequence. You start to go into the open world and start doing stuff in open world and start learning the more inner workings of the game. Then you can start to really, really have a good time with it. And I'm having a really good time with it. I really am. It's one of those games where I've just like, I wake up and I'm like, oh, I could play some Kingdom Come Deliverance this morning. Or I get home from work and I'm like, I have like an hour to kill. I can play some Kingdom Come Deliverance. And after stream, after eating, I go, oh, I can play some Kingdom Come until I feel too sleepy to do that. But yeah, I'm just really, really enjoying the game. My frustrations from the last time I talked about it have pretty much been subsided. I haven't really had a problem with hitting a wall, like fighting enemies or anything like that, because I've improved my character. I've improved my combat. I've improved my arsenal of weapons. I've improved my armor. I've also improved myself with like persuasive stuff and speech stuff as well. So I'm not like locked behind like doing a devious thing because I can't persuade someone to do something anymore. I have the power to persuade people now. So instead of like stealing a loot off the wall, I can persuade someone to sell it to me, or I can, maybe if I do have to steal it, I have my thievery up enough that I can do it, come in and go out without even being noticed. So it's one of those things where it's a bit of a slow start to the game, much like any RPG. But once you get going, you start working with your character and learning the workings of the game. It is just a very rewarding experience, and it's a very good experience. I'm very much enjoying my time with it. More so than the first game. I know I didn't finish the first game, but I'm thinking of going back and playing it because this experience has been so good. And once again, it could just be a fact that like maybe I played Kingdom Come Deliverance 1 at the wrong time in my gaming career, too early to enjoy it, or I was in a different headspace back then. So it's possible that if I play it now, I could find a lot more enjoyment. That happened with Red Dead Redemption 2. When that game originally came out, I was not into it. I played a couple hours and I said, no thanks, and I stopped playing it. I bought it on Steam a couple years later to test my new PC on. And once again, I got a bit into the game and I was like, this is really good, but eh. And then I finally said this at the beginning of this year. I'm like, I'm going to play this game. I'm going to get past that opening sequence, and I'm going to see what this game has to offer. And I really loved it this time I played it. So it's just one of those things. It's like sometimes you just got to give something that you maybe weren't vibing with another chance. And Kingdom Come, I think in general, is one of those games as well. Like if you're not in the right mood to play a game that's like this like RPG that has a lot of mechanics going on, it's got a lot of depth to it. It's got a pretty deep story. It's obviously a continuation from the first game. You got to be in the right mindset. And right now I am in the right mindset. I feel like I can, like last year I played Armored Core and Final Fantasy 16, and those are longer games. And I played them on the PlayStation. But when I tried to play a longer game on the PC, I just couldn't get myself to do it. So I'm wondering if there's something like maybe just playing on the PlayStation, earning trophies, and having that controller in my hand makes me more willing to get through a longer game. That's just kind of what I'm trying out right now because I'm this year I'm playing a lot more games physically on the PlayStation than I have in a little while now. And I think that's going to help me to play some of these games that are a bit longer, like Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii and stuff like that. I feel like I'm going to have a higher chance of getting through them because I'm going to sit down, I'm going to play on my PlayStation instead of on my PC. I love my PC to death, don't get me wrong, but for some reason, the longer experiences, I just, for some reason, just don't really want to play on my PC. But when I pull up a PlayStation, I'm fine. It's very strange. I don't know. It's a bizarre thing. But, yeah, Kingdom Come 2. Having a great time with it. I would definitely recommend it at this point. It's a pretty hardcore, realism-inspired RPG, so go into it knowing that you're probably going to have some frustration. You're probably going to die a couple times at the restart. I did find out that you can save and quit in the game. You don't need saving schnapps or whatever it's called. You can actually save and quit at any time, and it will save your progress. So if you do run into a bit of a wall where you can't fight this enemy or you can't get past an objective and you need to do a lot of busy work up until that point, there is a way to save your progress. You just got to save and quit and then reload the game, and you got a save point. So I wish I had known that earlier because that would have saved a couple of frustrations early on. But it all worked out in the end. So I don't even do it anymore. Like I don't even need to do that, I should say, because I've never done it unless I'm actually quitting the game and shutting off my console. I haven't actually had to use the save and quit option for anything at this point now in the game. So that's also a good thing, telling me that I have leveled up my character quite well and I'm able to work through things. So there you go. That is my big update from the first part of my review from last week. All right, let's talk about Orcs Must Die Deathtrap. Greedy Waffles and I have been playing the game more so this week. We took a bit of a break. We let them update the game a little bit, and we've come back to it. And with the new updates to the game, they've added more barricades for you. They've improved a lot of aspects of the game, and I will say that I'm having a lot more fun with it. No, I cannot play like hours and hours and hours of it like Orcs Must Die 3, but we're having a much better time with the game, with the experience in general. And the main reason for that is because, just like I said in my original thoughts on the game, it took a bit of time, but we upgraded a lot of our traps. We bought traps that we wanted to use, and now we're having an easier time getting through levels. We're earning more skulls, and thus we're able to upgrade even more. And then we're getting past bosses and stuff like that. So it's been a more it's been just a more gradual upgrade. Not gradual. It's just been a better experience, I should say. It's been a better experience. They start you off with like the bare necessities. They start you off in like these big open maps. Yeah, you like before the update, you had like 6 barricades per person. It was abysmal. They've upgraded that, of course. They've also added in a barricade that you can pay money for, which is great. You can now do a bit more with those barricades. But we've actually been able to do most of these levels without buying extra barricades. So, I think that just adding a couple extra more free barricades for you to use is great. I would still love to be able to use barricades like we do in the other Orcs Must Die games and really wind them around past and stuff like that. It's just not going to work out that way. There are several maps that I've been like, oh, we can wind them through these pillars and we can put a kill box here and a kill box here. And it's like, by the time you're done with the 10 barricades each, and then you also have your paid ones, it's going to be too much money. You're not going to have enough money for traps to use. You're not going to have, you're not going to be able to block the ways off until much later in the levels. And it just became too much of a hassle. So we've been actually doing a pretty good job with keeping, just the base barricades and maybe using extra paid barricades. Once we upgraded our traps too, like things have been going a bit much more smoothly with that. They've also added in this new system in the game where you can actually increase or decrease the difficulty. And I felt like the starting difficulty for the game, which is like a 5, I guess, and then it gets harder as you go, was maybe a bit too hardcore for the start of the game. So we reduced that down a bit so that we can more gradually earn our skulls, upgrade things, and then get to the higher levels of the game. Yeah, I mean, so far, or I guess now, the game has been much more enjoyable. We still have some frustrations with it, of course, but they've buffed and improved several characters now, and I feel like more characters are viable to use. It's not just the 2 crossbow guys anymore. It's like, okay, now you can actually use a melee character effectively. It's not like a complete detriment to your team that use a melee character. Or now there's a couple of other characters, like I was using one that had like a wrench and he had like a sniper scope on it or whatever, and it was actually effective for the most part. And Griwaffles was using a new character with like a wand or whatever, and it seemed to be pretty effective. And these characters were not effective before. We could not use them at all. And now they've improved them and made the characters better. And now you can actually use them viably. So that's another thing about the game too, is like they keep updating the game. They have positive updates to the game. They've been improving it a lot. So my initial frustration with the game from the last time that I talked about it, a lot of the points that I made are kind of moot at this point. Even though I still think that like just having a regular Orcs Must Die 4 would have been better in general. I think that I'm vibing with the idea of like a roguelite Orcs Must Die like they have right now a bit more, and it's probably because we're just having an easier time with the game in general, being able to upgrade our traps and stuff. I think that the grind to upgrade your stuff is still a bit annoying because it does cost a lot of skulls at the end of the day to upgrade your traps, buy new traps, upgrade your character, upgrade the threads that you can get, which are the random like roguelike elements where you can like improve traps and stuff like that during the game, and then it resets after the level or after the entire thing. So it's still a bit of a grind because a lot of the things that there's one skill that was like 1,000 something skulls to unlock, and it's like we earn 1,000 skulls maybe in 4 levels, and usually they have like 4 plus 1 for the boss fight. I do think that they need more maps in the game as well. Like there is a nice selection now. It's definitely more than it used to be. But there's still not enough, in my opinion. You do seem to find a lot. It's random which maps you get and what like things they will add to the levels. It still just seems like we're getting the same like 4 or 5 maps over and over and over again, and there doesn't seem to be a lot of variety. Each boss does have its own special, unique map, which is nice. But I just would like to play a normal 6-round fucking wave defender on that. Like don't relegate it to just being a boss map. I feel like they could do so much with some of these boss maps, but they don't. The bosses also have been pretty subpar in my opinion. Like the one guy heals orcs around him. He doesn't really do much else other than that. He'll shoot a laser beam at you sometimes. Doesn't do a lot of damage. There's another guy who's like a necromancer. He raises up the skeleton orcs from the ground. He does some decent damage, but he still doesn't really move. He doesn't really move around a lot. He does teleport, but he doesn't move, like walk or anything like that. There was a sniper wolf, not like the YouTuber, the annoying YouTuber, but there's like a wolf that had like a sniper rifle. He was probably the hardest boss so far, but even then, like Greedy Waffles was fighting him after the wave, like the enemies were done, and he just was like, when Greedy Waffles would get close to him, he'd just run away. He was like he was a real bitch. So yeah, it's just one of those things that I feel like maybe they could have done a better job with these bosses. They could have probably done a better job with the map selection. But I think that the variety of traps, the improvements to those traps, and the core gameplay, it's a lot better now. It's a lot better. Like the character selection, like the characters are more viable to play with. The levels feel a bit better because your traps can actually do stuff now after you upgrade them. Just there's a lot of elements of the game that do feel better at this point, which I appreciate them continuing to update the game and listen to player feedback. And hopefully by the time that I talk about this game again, we'll have finished it and I will be very positive about it. As of right now, my thoughts have improved. When I was originally talking about it, I was pretty down in the dumps. I was pretty frustrated with the experience with the game in general. And now I'm kind of more so in like a medium to slightly positive realm. Like, I'm kind of like, oh, okay, I'm like at like a 3.5 maybe right now, right? We're actually enjoying our time with it, which is much more than I can say from the last time I played the game. And it's still available on Xbox Game Pass. If you want to try it out, I think that the best way to play the game is with more than one person. Because these levels are huge and the horde of orcs is much bigger than ever before. But it is viable to play either by yourself, I guess, or with one other person. But I think the minimum is at least 2 because there's so many orcs, there's so many different ways that they come from. These maps are so large. I just don't see one person being able to clear the harder levels in the game, especially with like there's flying enemies who fly over barricades and go straight for the rift. There's other enemies who like poison you and stop you from moving and turn you into stone at times. And I could see the experience being very frustrating for a single player, but for more than one person, probably going to be a very good time. So yes, Orcs Must Die Deathtrap, they improved the game a lot. I'm enjoying it a lot more. And we'll see where we're at by the time that I talk about it again. Maybe it'll be next week, whenever Greedy Waffles and I end up finishing the main campaign for it. I do want to get this game at least done and out of the way by the time that Nightreign comes out. We got a couple months for that, though. Also, been playing a bit of Black Ops 6 these past couple weeks. The new season came out. The new maps, like, there's one that I like. The rest of them I could live without. The one thing, though, that I will say is the new guns are very good. The PPSH, the new assault rifle, which I forget the name of right now. There's also there's a new marksman rifle that you can earn by doing the event, the Terminator event, which also seems pretty good too. So I've been enjoying the season 2 offerings. The PPSH is a killer submachine gun, and the new assault rifle is also very good. It's double XP. It's been almost double XP for the past like 3 weekends at this point, which is very nice as well. So you get double weapon and double regular XP. This weekend is a double battle pass weekend as well, which is very nice indeed. But yeah, I mean, I don't have much to say about it other than like, yeah, I'm playing it still and enjoying it for the most part. Much like any Call of Duty game, it's still going to have like those matches where you just feel like everything is going wrong and the enemy team is like a bunch of assholes who are camping or using some weird tactic that you've never seen before, but it's still a decent time. I don't even know why I'm talking about it right now. It's just the same as ever before. It's playing through the battle pass and playing the new maps, and the new zombies map is pretty cool. Yeah, there you go. Very short segment for that. I guess the last thing I want to talk about is Pokemon Sword. Obviously, this came out in tandem with Pokemon Shield. This was the first Pokemon game to introduce the wild zones where you can like run around and hunt Pokemon in a big, large area. It also introduced Dynamaxing, where you can make your Pokemon huge. We finally finished this though. We started this midway through January. I'm pretty sure it was after we played Star Fox, if I remember correctly. And I started off a little bit apprehensively because I haven't really dived into a Pokemon game since Pokemon Ruby Sapphire, I think it was called Ruby or whatever. And I played that on the 3DS. I remember I bought a 3DS specifically because for work I was riding. I used to ride along with someone else and do deliveries, and it was like we had like a really long trip to like Michigan that we had to do. It was going to be an all-day affair, like 3 hours of driving there, 3 hours of driving back. So I was like, I'm going to buy a 3DS. I'm going to buy a few games with it. So I bought SteamWorld Heist and I bought Pokemon Ruby. And I remember diving pretty far into that one. I got pretty far in that one. I never finished it. Pokemon Red back in the day, I had that on Game Boy Color. I got pretty far in that one as well when I was a kid, but I gave up after my sister reset my save file because for whatever reason they decided to only put one save file in Pokemon Red, and she wanted to play, and I didn't know I didn't know that she was going to play it, one, but two, I also didn't know that there wasn't multiple save files. So when I booted up the game again, it was my sister's save file, and she had a Squirtle, I had a Charizard, and I was like, "What the heck happened?" And I got very upset with that. But by God, water on the bridge at this point, right? And the last Pokemon experience that I had, like a regular game, was Pokemon Arceus, Legends Arceus, and I got fairly far through that one. I enjoyed my time with it, didn't finish it. So when I started up Pokemon Sword, I was like, am I gonna like this? I mean, it's just gonna be a good game for streaming. And pretty much almost right away after like the opening of the game, where you find the Sword Dog and you get your starter Pokemon, you start your adventure. After that all happened, I my fears were pretty much quelmed almost immediately. Like it felt really good. I enjoyed my time with the game. I enjoyed all the new Pokemon you can meet, and I enjoyed the open, like the wild worlds. I thought that it was a very fun time working with my chat to get the right Pokemon for the next gym and beat the gym, and I was just having a great time. And I was really happy with the final roster of Pokemon that I was using. They had been with me for quite some time, most of them, and I was just having a really good time with the game. I thought the story was decent, like it was good for a Pokemon story, I guess. The one thing that I really wasn't like vibing with was like the Dynamaxing. I thought that it was just kind of like a tacked on thing that didn't really add anything to the game, in my opinion. Because like the moves you use and stuff like that, it was all pretty much the same as if you're just a regular Pokemon. You were just giant. I felt like that was maybe a bit of it was fine. Like I'm not like shitting on the game entirely for that, but it was just one of those things where it's like you could have probably done a bit more with this. It was a cool concept, sure, but it didn't really do anything to change the gameplay at all. And then also the other thing was like the draw distance for finding Pokemon a bit short. I was hoping they were gonna fix that in the next iteration of the game, but I've heard some pretty crazy horror stories about Scarlet and Violet, so I don't know if I'll ever pick those games up. But if I do, whatever. But yeah, the draw distance for like finding like the wild, like there's some times where I would be riding my bike and a fucking Pokemon would just appear out of nowhere right in front of me, and I would battle it. Before you level up your Pokemon to like level 50, most things are gonna one-shot you in the wild world if they're like level 40 or above. So it's one of those things where it's like, well, that sucks. I'm stuck in a battle now. But yeah, I just had a lot of fun going around, catching various Pokemon, leveling up my Pokemon. This was one of the first times with a game that I'm streaming that I actually worked on stuff offline in terms of like grinding levels and stuff like that for my Pokemon. So that was a pretty unique thing, playing a game outside of the stream to kind of just work on some stuff in the background. Nothing like major. I just really enjoyed my time with it. I know it has some unfavorable reviews here and there. I don't know why. I feel like, especially for someone who hasn't really played much of the Pokemon games from the recent years, like as a person who has only played old school Pokemon games except for Pokemon Arceus, it really felt like a breath of fresh air for the Pokemon series, like just like the 3D environment, the wild area, and all that stuff, like the dungeons you could do as well to get super rare or really, I guess, powered up Pokemon. It all just felt really good, and I also really liked the fact that like you got like this cast of characters who kind of keep you going throughout the game. Like there's several characters who are kind of like skill point checks, like making sure that you've leveled up your Pokemon, you're using the right Pokemon for the gym and whatever. I thought that was a great addition to the game as well, is like having these characters pop up. There was one character who was supposed to be your rival named Hop, who I never really felt challenged by, but there were other characters in the game who gave me that challenge. So, it wasn't too bad. And yeah, the end of the game was great. I enjoyed the final fight with the champion, and when the credits rolled, I was satisfied. I was satisfied with the game, and I know there's some more stuff you can do afterwards. They want you to go back to the weld or whatever it's called and do some stuff in there. But at this point, I'm satisfied with where the game ended, and I might boot it up again here or there just to like maybe finish some odds and ends. But I'm not going to go for all the Pokemon. I'm not going to go for the 100% or anything like that. But I had fun with it, and I thought it was a pretty good Pokemon game. I'm going to give it an A tier, and I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5. I thought it was very, very fun. I had a good time with it. Have some issues with it, but for the most part, very good time. Very enjoyable. So there you go. All right, folks, it's the end of the podcast, and you know what that means. Well, guess that song. If you know the name of the song or the game that it came from, actually you need both. The name of the song and the game that it came from. Let me know either in the comments below on YouTube, on Spotify, or in the Discord in the Fair64 section, link down below. If you know the name and the game that came from, I will give you a heart and a congratulations in the YouTube comments. On Discord, I'll give you a super reaction, and you will get the admiration of your peers. Let's listen to today's song right now. All right. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the podcast. I really do appreciate that. If you want to check me out, it's Yemmy the Ferret on Twitch, Twitter, Blue Sky, etc. It's all at Yemmy the Ferret. We're streaming on Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturdays right now. Right now, we're trying to finish up Red Dead 2. We're in the epilogue, so it shouldn't be too long before we're rolling credits on that game. And then we're also going to be starting BioShock 2 on Monday, which was chosen by Callus, who won the contest recently. So if you want to check out some BioShock 2 gameplay, that'll be on Monday. More Red Dead Redemption on Tuesday, and we'll go from there. If you want to check out anything else I do, it's I also do a podcast about movies where we review movies called Film Freaks with a Z at the end. Me and a group of friends just talk about movies. We've recently reviewed The Mummy from 1999. The next episode is going to be about The Iron Giant, also from 1999, I'm pretty sure. So if you want to check that out, that'll be next week's episode. Anyway, I am Yemmy the Ferret. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Fair64. I'll talk at you next week. Bye-bye. The Ferret64 podcast is owned and edited by Yemmy the Ferret. Small sound clips used throughout the podcast were made by Yemmy the Ferret. The song in the intro and outro is Nightshade by Adhesive Wombat. The Fair64 logo was made by Player2P2. News sources include PushSquare.com, NintendoLife.com, and PureXbox.com. All opinions, video game related, are my own. Thank you for listening.